Hello everyone, welcome to Coding Box Automation Lab. This is Waterfall. Today we're going to learn and discuss about Agile methodology. We'll see what is Agile, what is the process of the Agile, and all other component or features of Agile methodologies. What is the benefits, all those things. So before we jump in direct to Agile methodologies, let's go a little bit the earlier, some basic definition about the software development to life cycle process. Okay. So software development life cycle is a conceptual model or process or set of activities step by step from gathering requirement to develop, including maintenance state, so that software can develop with quality. It has few steps or phase. First phase, it's a requirement phase or gathering requirement. So to develop any application, any project, first we need to gather the requirement. Okay, so this is the first steps. Second is the design. So based on the requirement and also the document and also the client's demand, we have to design it, like how it's going to look the product from the outside, from the end user, from the UI, from the back end, what is the data model, all those things is the design phase. So we have to confirm the design phase right after the requirement phase. And then when the design phase is complete, then it goes to the coding or development. The developer, they will start to coding as per the design plan. And after the coding is done, then it goes to the testing phase. So there will be multiple testing. So it's a lot of different testings. It's a testing phase. It's a happy system testing, functional testing, all different testings. Regression testing, and even in coding phase, when the coding is done, there is also called unit testing. It's usually performed by the developer. So the testing is phase right after the coding phase is done. And after testing is done, okay, if everything's okay, then it goes to the application, it goes to the release or production phase. This goes to the production, or end user can see the product. And then there is a maintenance phase. There is always need to maintain your program, because there is something can happen in production anytime, so there will be always maintenance. So this is the the 6 steps it's usually follow across the industry, the software industry, when they develop any project or any application. Then this is called software development life cycle. So based on these steps, this concept, this model, there is a major 2 types of process or methodology. Usually the software industry, they follow to develop the project or develop the application. One is called Waterfall model, or another one is called Agile. So our video tutorial is about the Agile, but we'll see just a little bit about what is the Waterfall. If we go a little bit down, the Waterfall is a linear approach of software development. It is called traditional development process too. Okay, there's the main sequence events happen during the Waterfall methodology. It's a gather, document requirements first. And the design. Then they do the design. It's happen each and every step individually. It's a sequence. So one steps is done, then the next step will start. Okay, so example, the gathering document, this is the first steps. There will be no other steps will able to do until is the first steps done. Then the design steps, then the code and unit test, then the performance is system testing or testing steps, or any other test is involved, like unit test, regression test. Then if there is any bug found, then it's a fix any that fix that issues. Then it goes to the production. So this is the waterfall method using software development life cycle, the standard methodology or model. So waterfall, it's a very traditional process, and it's a sequence-based process. So you can't do the design before coding, or when you do the coding, you can't do the testing. Okay, you have to finish all the coding first, and then it will perform the testing. Okay, so it's kind of time consuming the process. It's usually waterfall. That's why it's called traditional. It started before Agile, and the following waterfall methodology. It takes time, until it goes to the production. The application goes to the production. To go to the production, it takes time. It could be few months. It's lots of documents. It's lots of reading you have to do first. Lots of meetings to happen. So that's a waterfall. So the reason why the Agile comes is because it's a waterfall. It's time consuming, as I said. So to go one release to the production, it may take 3, 4, 5 months. Could be something 6 months. So it's a long time. And if something happened, like if your client after 2 or 3 months later, the client comes to you and says, okay, I need to change something. So that's very costly, because by the time you have done so many steps, the design done, the coding, it's almost probably done. So then again, it's the middle of the, that part, you need to change something. You have to redesign again, recode again. So it's a very time consuming as well as expensive process. So to prevent these kind of issues, okay, the Agile methodology come to the picture. So let's talk about Agile methodologies. What is? Okay, Agile. First, what is the meaning of Agile? It's able to move quickly. Okay, it's called continuous development. It is an approach also. It is an approach to software, to build software under requirements, specific requirements, and solution through the collaboration, effort, and cross-functional team to achieve a common goal. It means it's a continuous development process. It's a very quick process where all team works together to achieve a common goal. In traditional methodology or waterfall methodology, the development team and QA team, it's two different teams. But in an Agile, all team works together. Development or your QA team, everybody works together to achieve a common goal. And in an Agile method or methodology, implement following Scrum. There is a Scrum, word. It's used with the Agile methodology because the Agile methodologies implements in a Scrum, technology or a Scrum. You can the meaning. So, what is a Scrum meaning? It's the Scrum. It comes from a rugby game. I believe everybody knows what is rugby game. So you can see, you don't need to know all of the rules in rugby games, but it's like, all of the players comes very tight, it comes together. It's a tight relation, shoulder to shoulder. You can see in the picture, right? So it's the same. It means, the following Agile process, the team, work, it's called a Scrum team, and Scrum teams, how close, they are to mean it. If they use this word Scrum, they work, shoulder to shoulder. Doesn't matter you're a developer, you're Scrum master, or you're a QA team, or you're a product owner. Everybody works together, like shoulder to shoulder, help each other, and if to achieve a common goal. If one, team member from the Scrum is failed, the whole team will be failed. So they help each other to achieve a common goal to successfully deliver a quality product. So that's the Scrum comes to the picture with the Agile methodologies. So Agile-Scrum, now it's, if we talk together, Agile-Scrum, it is an interactive and incremental, the Agile software development framework for managing product development. It defines a flexible product development strategy where a development team works as a unit, that's very important, as a unit to reach a common goal. It is an incremental and interactive model. It is a self-organized and focused team. Because in Agile, you will not get that much time, like a lot of for the learning perspective. You have to self-modify yourself. You have to self-promote yourself. But you have to be a very good team member. No huge document in Agile. That's another big difference between Agile and Waterfall. In Agile, you will not see, or you will not have that huge document as you see in Waterfall. Other than you will see precise and to point stories. Your document requirement will be divided in different small stories. We'll see it. It's a close communication with user representative. It's in an Agile process, it's the development, it's goes move on with very close, maintaining the very close communication with the client. Have defined timelines of 1 to 4 weeks. In Agile, the work gets divided very small part, a small project, and every small project, they do it between a timeline, between a time period. It's called sprint or iteration, and it's divided by, it can be between 1 to 4 weeks. It depends on the companies, but some company can have a sprint time like 1 week and 2 weeks, 3, max 4 weeks. Okay, so it depends on the company, but this is the standard time format. So instead of doing everything at a time, Scrum does a little of everything at a given interval. It means instead of doing lots of huge works at a time, like in Waterfall usually have been done, usually if they do it in Agile, as I said, they make the project in a small project, they divide it, and they do it in a sprint, and which is the time frame between 1 to 4 weeks. Resources capability and availability is considered before committing anything. It means before we or sprint or any iteration or time frame start, there is a meeting happen, planning meeting, and everybody they commit their tasks. They understand very well what's their task they are going to do. It will be assigned to that person, and that person will be committed to complete that task by the sprint time frame. So why Agile-Scrum? It's an increment, as I say, it's an incremental approach, breaks a complex project down into similar mini project or a small project. It's accommodate change easily. If there is a changes comes during the project, middle of the project, it's easily can accommodate, it easily can adjust, because you're working in small piece every sprint, every time frame. So it's not a big problem if there's a change comes all of a sudden. You can easily adjust it. It's improved return of investment through frequent and regularly deliver of value on the business. It's improved return of investment, frequently, and a regular delivery. It means like every couple of sprints, maybe every sprint or every 2 weeks, every 2 sprints, all the release goes to the production. So it's a regularly, it's a deliver some of the the work you are doing, or your work on the project, your customer can see it. So that's really help the customer to understand what we are doing behind the scene, what's the project progress right now, which is help to understand from the client side, as well as it's give you the extra value to your business. Increase business involvement and satisfaction. So when it's very frequently release comes, like maybe every 2 weeks sprint, could be 1 week or 2 weeks sprint. So within a month, could be every month there is a release coming out. So your client can see it as well as it helps to make happy or satisfy our client, because they can see the result very frequently, other than waiting like 3, 4, 5 months following waterfall methodology. Increased visibility. As I said, visibility means it shows the progress when the release goes frequently, so the client can see the progress, and less risks. Okay, there's a less risks, all less risks, because so every sprint you're working a small amount of work. So when you work on a small amount of project, it's always risky. That's why it's saying, you can see here, lower development risks and higher quality, less defect. Because when you work on a small part of a project, a small task, it's you will get the delivery, you will get the you will provide the quality will be high, and when qualities are high, it means your defect will be less, because during a small sprint, like a 1 or 2 weeks sprint, whatever you are coding, you're designing, developing, there will be a couple of layers testing. So the more testing will be involved, and which is happen parallel with your coding. It's not like traditional waterfall. You finish the coding, then you start testing. But in Agile, you do the testing the same time you code. You finish the code right there. It started to the code. It's happens parallel. So you save time, but you're doing more testing. So that's why it's help you to reduce more defect, unlike waterfall methodology. Shorter cycle, produce working software and incremental product quickly. Progress measured by running tested software, hourly and regular process. Improvement driven by frequent inspection. So those are the highlighted points for why Agile-Scrum. So let's see, next is some Scrum technology or terminology. Some Scrum terminology. One is epic, and then epics have a features, and every features will be divided some story, and every story will be divided some text. We'll see. Let's have a little bit details. What is epic? It's a high level, larger requirement, like business requirement or business a business functional requirement specification or business requirement document, which is in traditional waterfall method. You will see this business BRD or FRS. Epic is similar, but it's not that large. It's not that too much document, pages after pages. But Epic is the highest level or largest document following Agile methodologies. Okay, usually it's written by customer as per their needs with the product owner. In the Agile methodology, there is no business analyst. It's called instead of business analyst, it's called the product owner or PO. One project can have multiple epics. And epics again, it's a requirement. It's the first phase of gathering requirement about clients, a demand, what clients want. So in one epic can divide it by multiple features or functionality. Example, as a user, I want to use banking application. This is an epic, and it has so many features as login, deposit, withdraw, etc. So in a banking application, there is so many features. So epic, as I said, it's a larger document. Larger document sense, it's give you the straightforward English language, like what's the client want, without any mentioning any technologies, but from there we have to break it down some stories or some features. So in the banking application, there's lots of features. You can say the login features, the deposit, withdraw, and others like transfers. It's lots of features. So we have to break it down each and every features, and based on the features, we will make some stories. And again, then the stories will be divided by some tags. Then what is the stories now? Stories is a part of Epic for a specific features. As I said, story is nothing a shorter requirement in Agile process. One epic can have multiple stories, what called product backlog. So when an epic divided some stories, all the stories, it's a written document, all the stories, stored somewhere in a tool in Agile process. The people, they use different tools. Like Jira is one of the famous tools, or maybe Microsoft Test Manager, that's another tool. So whatever tools they use, so when they write the stories, under one epic, all the stories stored somewhere, they save it somewhere. So the place they save it is called product backlog. We'll see in a little bit in details in a picture too, in an image. As an example, as a user, I can log into online banking application. This is a story. This is a story. Okay. And then tags. So each story can have multiple tags, can assign to developer, DevOps, QA, and so on during the sprint plan. It means, when a story they write is like this. As a user, I can log into online banking application. Okay. So this is the story, but so who's gonna work? So definitely for this story, the whole Scrum team means that your developer, QA, DevOps, if sometimes your Scrum Master, all up together is called Scrum team. So everybody will have to participate to successfully complete this story. As an example, what's a developer or dev task would be? Review the story, estimate the story, and then design and coding the story, and as well as the unit testing. This is the task from the developer team, dev team. Similarly, QA, they will review the story, they will estimate, and then they will prepare the test environment, the test data. They have to then create some test cases, then they have to execute the test cases, and then if there is a bug found, they have to file a bug, report the bug, and and then finally they have to report it, the test summary report. So those are all the tasks, have to be done by the QA team as well as the dev team for each and every story. So that's why there's each and every action. It's a task, right? So all those tasks will be created under one story, and it will be assigned to the appropriate person, the appropriate individual. Like could be dev, could be QA, another person. So in Agile, there is some specific, the team members, they work together, and they have, as per the team member, they have some title. Well, what's the title? So it's product owner, very important person. We'll see. It's a little bit details. It's responsibilities, Scrum Master, and team. So let's say about the product owner. Who's the product owner? He defines the features of the product by getting the requirement from customer. That's his first job. You have to always keep in touch with the customer for if any changes happen and need to update, adjust all those things. He decide on release date and content. He decide when the release will go to the production and what would be the features contained in the release. He's responsible for the profitability of the product. He will prioritize the features according to the market value or according to the customer demand. He adjusts the features if there is a changes during the work, or he will also prioritize every iteration as needed. He will accept or reject the work. It means when at the end of the sprint or every end of the story, completed by the dev team and the Scrum team or the QA team, he will be part of the review. He will see, and at the end he can accept it, he can reject it, the work. If the work doesn't complete as per the requirement or as per he wants according to the client demand, he can reject it. Then he will be again have to plan, have to go through the planning and have to be in the next sprint. So next is Scrum Master. Who is a Scrum Master? So represent management to the project and facilitating the Agile process. Scrum Master is an individual. He shouldn't be. It's not necessary that he have to be part from the dev team or QA team. He can be completely separate person who doesn't have the development experience. He doesn't care about the product, how it's developing, or technology. He cares about the Agile process, managing the Agile process, so that the whole team follow the Agile methodologies. That's his main, core responsibilities. Whereas you can see this over here, the responsible for encoding Scrum values and practices. You have to make sure that everybody in the Scrum team, following the Scrum values and we're practicing too. Removes the impediments. If there is a blocking, during the Scrum or during the sprint, Scrum Master is the first person who will help you to remove your blocking or remove the blockers, so that we all team members move forward and successfully we complete our task. It will ensure the item is fully functional and productive. Enable close cooperation across all rules and functions. Shield the team from external interferences. He will protect the team if there is any, from the outside, some disturbing comes to the team, and it's prevent to work following Scrum methodology. He will prevent it. He will work as a shield for the whole team. Then Scrum team, typically 5 to 10 people involved with the Scrum team. It's a cross-functional team who's involved mainly developer, QA, UI designer, and your Scrum Master. Those are the people, or as well as your product owner. They are the main part of your Scrum team. So in Agile method, there is a lots of event happen, ceremony happen. One is called sprint planning, sprint review, sprint retro, and daily Scrum meeting. Those are all different events, or you can say meeting happen in following the Agile methodology. Meetings, sprint planning meetings. So sprint planning meetings, it's happen before the sprint start. Before the next sprint start, it have to be happen before it start the next sprint. It means, during this meeting, it will be confirmed that how many story were committed to complete for upcoming or next sprint, who's going to do what. It will be distributed, tasks and assigned. It will be estimated each and every stories. So everything, those things will be done during the sprint planning meeting. Daily Scrum, during the Scrum, every day, the morning, usually happen in the morning, every day, all the Scrum team, they will be get together and we'll have a very quick meeting, probably 15 to 20 minutes, and each and everybody will have some speech, very short, very quick. They will say something about 3 questions: what I did yesterday, what I'm doing today, if I have any blocker or not. If you have any blocker, you have to update during the Scrum meeting, and then Scrum Master will take the action. It will take some steps to remove your blocking part, so that you can work with the other team member and successfully you finish your task. Then sprint review. At the end of the sprint, there is a meeting happen right away. It's called a sprint review meeting. So it means that during this meeting, all different stakeholders will be involved, will be invited. Like a client could be part of the sprint review meeting. Different stakeholders, like different departments, managers, like from your service team, your customer success team, all those people will be will be present in this meeting. And during this meeting, the Scrum team, especially developer and QA, they will explain their tasks on their last sprint they have been done. Like they will show some graph, and they will show that how many story was committed and how their sprint went through, how many they completed. If there any item was missing, they have to explain why it was missing, as well as or they couldn't complete it, as well as the successfully items or story was completed. They will explain it to the whole everybody, different stakeholders, so that everybody will know what we have done in the last sprint and where we are now. Okay. And then sprint retro. Sprint retro meeting is very important. It's a open speech meeting for especially Scrum team. Usually your higher management, like a manager or director from a QA team or from a director team, they are not involved with this meeting, especially the solid Scrum team, like developer, QA, your Scrum Master, and your product owner could be there. So during that time, everybody will explain 3 questions. Number 1, what went well in my last sprint, sprint, and what didn't went well, and what can we do better. This is the 3 topics. Everybody will give some speech. What I like, what really went well, what I didn't like some blocking could happen, or that I have to wait for that, it's prevent my work, something like that, and what we can do better, for our moving forward, our next sprint. And the Scrum Master will take the note, and he will set up some action. He will, according to your speech, like what didn't went well and what we can do better. So he will make a note, and he will create some tasks and assign to different people, or he will do he will assign some of the tasks himself to remove those blocking parts, so that we can do all better in future. And then daily Scrum meetings. I think I already explained you. So daily Scrum meetings happen every day, 10 to 15 to 20 minutes, and it's called the stand-up meetings. Everybody explain 3 parts, like so what I did yesterday, what I'm going to do today, and if there are any blocking or not. This is the 3 questions. What did you do yesterday? What will do today? And is there any blocking in your way to work? Okay. And a sprint review meeting, I think I already explained. It's okay. This is the different stakeholders, like so it's usually 2 hours preparation time rule. The customers can be part of the meetings, management, product owner, other engineers, everybody. Sprint retro, already said it, it's a feedback meeting. Scrum team, it's a solid Scrum team. 3 questions usually, each and everyone explain what went well, what went wrong, what can we do better to improve the bad things. Okay, artifact. During the sprint, the moving forward during the sprint, we, as I said, I think so. We have seen some keyword like about product backlog, sprint backlog, different result or chart or graph. It's one is called burn down chart. We'll see in a diagram within a second. Okay, just before that, let's have a talk about two definitions that you will frequently hear during the Scrum methodology in a Scrum process or Agile process. It's called DOR, or definition of ready. Agile follows some standard process or satisfaction to confirm any issue. Any issue in Agile or in Agile process, whatever you write, like epic, story, tags, your test cases, everything is called issue. So to confirm any issue is ready, they have a standard, standard process or satisfaction, and that's called definition of ready. And what is this? It is user story have to be very clear. User story is testable. User story is defined. It's considering user story. I'm giving an example. When you user story, you will say that it's a DOR or it's ready as per the definition of ready. When user story is defined, user story acceptance has some acceptance criteria. User story dependencies identified. If there are any dependency on your user story, whatever the user story, you have to make it clear so that your developer, QA, everybody knows what's the dependency. We need before we start this the tags or the story. Performance criteria identified where appropriate. If there are any performance related tags or story, you have to confirm, okay, it have to be this application or this part of this function or this features have to be performed within the the time limit. There will be like, it cannot take like 25 minutes to just click on, or 10 minutes to just click on login button. Shouldn't take that long. So you have to be, if there is a performance issue related to any story, you have to confirm it in your user story. Person who will accept the user story is defined. Who's gonna work on this specific user story have to assign. Team has a good idea what it will mean to demo the user story. So at the end, as I said, is when the sprint is done, there is a sprint review team. So team have to be idea like specific for a story, what will show as a demo to the different stakeholders during the sprint review meeting. Then another definition is called DOD, or definition of done. The Agile follows some standard process satisfaction to confirm any issue. It's done following DOD, or following done, the done process. What is this? The code produce all do items in code completed. It means when the developer they do a code for any items have to be completely done. There will be no undo work. Then you can say it's following DOD for this specific task. Code commitment checked in, run against current version in source control. You have to, it's not only you complete the code, you have to make sure you check in the code or deploy the code, then run against the in source control or in version, and make sure that it's working fine. The build, so again it's here, so you have to build the code and without any errors. You have to confirm it. Unit tests have to be done when it's a code is complete, and before it goes to the build, you have to check the unit test. Usually developer they perform the unit test and have to confirm the unit test was completed and there is no defect found. Pass user acceptance testings through QA. So QA will also check the testing, do the testing as per the user acceptance testing, and have to pass. Any build, deployment, configuration changes are implemented and documented. Finally, close the task. So when all those things will be completed for a specific story or task, then you can say that task is completed as per DoD. Okay, and any one of the tasks, any one of the the action will be missing or uncompleted. You can't say that task is completed as per DoD. So here is the Scrum overview as we have explained up until now. This is a Scrum framework. You can say first this is the product owner. Product owner, he will get the requirement from the client, and then he will write epic as well as based on epic he will write some stories, and when he will save the stories the place will store without assigning anyone. It may assign to the product owner. That's called the product backlog. And then after the product backlog, there will be sprint planning meetings, and the whole Scrum team will be part of the planning meetings. It will be estimated the stories, and then and it will be assigned the stories, create some tasks for each and every stories, and it will be assigned to the appropriate individual, and that's called a sprint planning meeting. And from the tasks it's been confirmed through the sprint planning meetings will be moved from your product backlog to a specific sprint. Those stories and tasks all together is called sprint backlog. And your sprint will be can be a time frame, will be in time frame which is 1 to 4 weeks. So it depends on the company. It could be 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, max can be 4 weeks. That's called the sprint time frame or sprint or iteration. And there will be Scrum Master. Scrum Master will check every day if there is a blocking happen to any Scrum team member. How we can remove the blocking part, all those things, and he will also maintain this. All these iterations. And then there is a daily Scrum meeting, so we already know. And when the sprint will complete, there will be sprint review. And the sprint in the sprint review, the different stakeholder will be invited, and the Scrum team will update them. How our sprint went through, how much we were able to complete as per our sprint plan, as per our commitment, and if there is a item was not completed, why was not completed, all those things. And then at the end, sprint retro meeting will happen. Okay. So here is a little bit specific definition about the product log prepared by the product owner, which contains the requirement from customer. In other words, all the stories, including epics, are called product backlog before they place in sprint. Story points is an estimation given by the dev and tester for a specific story or task during the planning. This estimation follows Fibonacci series, which is 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, 21. It means each and every story, when they will talk during the sprint planning meetings, they have to estimate it, right? So usually in traditional estimation, it goes by the hour, but in Agile, they don't want to say hour. They want to say it's story points. And story points follow some specific method or sequence, which is called Fibonacci series. So if you have a story, you can either say 1, the story points like estimation could be 1, could be 2, could be 3, could be 5, could be 8, 13, 21. So there will be no 6, 7, there will be no 9. If you feel it's 9, either you have to say it's 8 or 30. If you say it's more than 30 story points, then you can say 21, even though you feel it's not 21, like it could be 18, but there is no chance to say 18. And how you gonna guess, how you gonna confirm, because it's your story, the more complex your story points will be more. So when you estimate in Agile any story, it depends on, the estimation or story points. It depends on the complexity of your story. It's not the how long will take. It's more, they emphasize on the complexity of the task. If it's a more complex, you will say more story points for that specific story. Okay. Sprint backlog contains committed stories as per meeting, as per sprint meetings for a specific sprint. Scrum board, it's something like that when your sprint will start, in your software, like example as Jira software, as well as in a physically, a lot of companies they do follow the Scrum board in physically also. Like in your meeting room, there will be a wall. They put they create some column, something like that, a story column, to do, in progress, to verify or test, and done column. So they use a sticky note over here. Each and every sticky note, you will have a story or a story number. Then those are little sticky notes. They will put the tax number or tax. And then every day during the standard meeting, each and everybody will explain what they did yesterday, what they're going to do today, and if there are any blocking or not. During that time, when they will update the whole team, they will move their assigned tasks, from one column to another column. So from 2 to 2, if there's a progress, they will move to progress. If from the progress, if there is a testing task, in testing level, they will move in testing. And when all the tasks will be moved from 2 to done stage, then you can say that story completely was done. Okay, so they use in software, like example Agile, Jira software. Jira software, there is a Scrum board in software phase, as well as Scrum Master. He maintain it, as well as they do in physically too. So it's very visible to everybody. And then the whole team, they know where we are right now. And if there are any issue happening, or if someone needs any help, they help each other. So finally, what is Agile testing? Very simple definition. Unlike the Waterfall method, Agile testing can be begun at the start of the project with continuous integration between development and testing. Agile testing is not a sequential like Waterfall. Okay, but it's continuous. Okay, it's like, you can say, parallel. Okay, parallel, it means the development and your testing will happen at the same time, parallelly. So it will save the business hours, save the time. An Agile team works as a single team towards a common object, of achieving quality. The Agile testing has a shorter time frames called iteration. Say 1 to 4 weeks, as we know. This is talking about the sprint. This methodology is also called release or delivery driven approach, since it gives a better prediction to the workable product in a short duration of time. Here is a nutshell about the advantages following Agile. We can save time and cost of the project. The quality can be ensured because each and every sprint will be tested multiple times. The requirement changes can be accepted at any level of the project maintenance. You will see in Agile, it's a very, very common scenario. The requirement gets changed very frequently. The clients, they change their mind, or they change the features or functions. It's happened very frequently. It's happened in the middle of the sprint. It's a very common scenarios in Agile, but it's not a problem. It's not that big problem, because since the Agile, the process, the sprint, every sprint there works a little part of your project. It's a little, chunk of water, not a big chunk. It's a little small piece of water, work. So if there is a change comes and need to adjust, it's not big difficult to adjust it. All the participating in Scrum meetings so that transparency can be maintained. Okay. each and every sprint we're delivering to the client, so we can maintain the customer satisfaction and we can avoid delivery weeks of the project. So those are the key benefits following Agile methodology. So to do or follow all the Agile methodology, there is a Jira is one of the very famous tool, or Microsoft Test Manager, TFS Test Manager. In industry, maybe you will see 70% company they use the Jira tool. So Jira tool, it can be used to manage and maintain your Agile methodology, which is, starting from creating your project, creating epics, create some backlogs, create a sprint or sprint logs, create tasks for stories and assign to the different individuals and update the story and tasks during the sprint. And managing it also have a features, it's a plugin, it's called Zephyr in Jira tool that help you manage and maintain your test activities. It means you can create your test cases, you can execute test cases, update the status, you can file a bug, you can send a report, you can see the report of your all testing activities. In our following video, we'll see some project, a small project based on Walmart, and we'll use the Jira tool. We'll see all the manage and maintenance process for Agile, as well as we'll see the testing activities using the Zephyr plugin of the Jira tool. So please stay tuned and watch the next two videos, and don't forget to click on subscribe button to be updated.